Welcome to the Austin Behind the Creative Scenes podcast, where we explore how creative individuals already in the industry made it, are making it, or even got out of it. Their everyday actions could be the things you are struggling with as a performing artist. I'm Austin, your host, and together we'll embark on a journey to discover a little bit more about the real life behind the creative scenes. Join us as we delve into inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips from people who have been there, done that, and learned from it. Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just starting your journey, this podcast is for you. So let's dive in and explore the world of the entertainment industry, one series at a time. This podcast is sponsored by the award-winning Mortgages for Actors, the financial services for you and your family. Visit the website to find out more. Hello, Lucy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Good. And as I always say at the beginning of these, tell everyone who you are and what you do.
I'm Lucy Rafton. I'm predominantly a singer, actress, and movement director now, apparently. But I currently work as an administrator for a PR company, which is no longer a PR company. It's changed a lot over the past year. So, yeah, that's me. I mean, they are, but there's much more going on. There's lots of people. I wouldn't even begin to start,
Well, that's all right. That's all right. So how did you get into that one? Was it just a case of applying and hoping?
Yes, I was really, really lucky, actually. I made the decision after, it wasn't after the pandemic, because I feel like it's kind of just petered out. I've been quite lucky doing work during the whole crazy time that I just felt the need to kind of disappear for a while. Not disappear, but that I'd been working whilst it was going on, and so it just didn't feel like normal anymore. The industry, like the last Christmas that I worked was Christmas 2021, I want to say. And it's when things just kind of came back again, and all the shows were getting locked down, and there was only two of us in our show. So, and me, the other actress, and our stage manager were all living together. And so we were just like, well, we can keep going. There's only three of us. If we don't go anywhere and we don't do anything, we'll be fine. And we did. We made it to the end. But my mentality by the end of that was in a different world. Yeah. It was like I don't even recognize who I was. Like I've never, ever in my 35 years wanted to step away from the industry, no matter what. And that just kind of was like, okay, yeah, it's still got a bit of time to get back to normal, and I've been lucky to be working in it. I think while we're still resetting, we use this time. The time is now. There's no time like the present to go and be sensible and be a grown up and try and do something that's going to help my future. And so that's how I got into the vibe of going, let's look for a job. And I did. And I didn't like many of them, or I didn't tick many of the boxes. I knew that I could do them in my sleep, but I didn't on paper have what they wanted. But this particular job, the way that it advertised itself and wanted me to apply for it just was in a different world. Like I was like, oh, okay, just kind of, the emails that you send when you don't actually send them, the first email that you write to somebody that you want to represent you or cast you in something. It was kind of like that. I was like, yeah, I can do this, yada, yada, yada. I thought, why not? Just send it. And I did. And Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and all that stuff. And I got an interview, a second interview, and then I'm here a year and 7 months later.
Awesome. Yeah. How do you feel that going from the performing arts into something that's completely different? Well, not completely different, but into an employment where you get there at 9, you finish at 5 every day, and how do you feel about that?
A little bit strange. So I predominantly looked for working from home work first, so like 100% working from home, because I knew that it was an option. So I was like, that's great for me, I can do that. This job was hybrid, so it was some days in the office and some days working from home. But the company are quite flexible with when you start and when you finish, dependent on, if you've got things that you need to do. And the part of the company that I was joining meant that I wasn't necessarily client facing, so that was really flexible for me. So I can't say that I've had to deal with that whole from one to another. I've been really, really lucky that it's kind of been like phased in. And I've really enjoyed the days in the office as much as like I've been in today and I feel like I don't get anything done. And I'll moan that I'm distracted, but it's often me that's the distraction. I can't, so I work better when I'm just on my own sometimes, but I really appreciate being in there, especially towards Christmas last year when all of the people that I would normally socialise with were busy working on shows. And I realised the only reason I socialised with them wasn't socially, it was work. So I was seeing them all at work events, either doing shows, rehearsals or whatever. So what I thought was socialising was actually me just working but enjoying it. Yeah. And so I wasn't seeing anybody. And I was like, well, what do I do? The people that I would normally spend time with and get my sanity from are busy, here all over the country. So having somewhere to go in to the office during those like few months over Christmas, winter were great, were really good. So I'm thankful that I didn't go fully working from home. Yeah.
So do you feel like you've kind of broken away from the whole expressive arts thing? Or do you feel like you've still got it in you, but you're just waiting for a bit?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I've had a clean break, but I find it impossible. I can't be who I am without it, and so when things come up, there was a few things that I had to say no to at the beginning, like not massive things, but yeah, just like okay, and then slowly it petered out, so people knew that I was busy doing things. But then I started getting creative stuff, but from the other side. So my friend, she directed A Midsummer Night's Dream at Grosvenor Park Open Air Theatre in Chester in the summer. And she asked if I would come and do movement direction on it, which I was like, oh, yes, absolutely. I'd love to do that. So I used I've used half of my holidays and I've used the rest of them for creative stuff. So I've managed to keep in with things in that sense that it's actually meant it's opened up a different world for me, because would I be honest in saying that I would have taken those jobs had I been fully performing? Probably not. Not because I don't think I was any good at it, or I didn't think that, it would be any good, but mainly because I just didn't have the space for working out how that looked, what that looked like, as well as having, other stuff at the side of it. Because when you're performing, most of the time it's full time. With the creative side, you're working you're only needed for the rehearsals. So then you're having to think about what to do for the rest of the time. So it works for the people that do it, but being at the other side, working out how you do that to then constantly looking for the next job, is quite scary. So it's been nice that I've been able to test out the waters whilst I've had a job to just go straight back to. So doing that summer job, watching them all rehearse, we did, I think, probably 2 months maybe, and I wasn't in all the time, so I was only needed for little snippets, so it was great because it meant that I could do my other job and come back. But then when they were performing, it was really weird to be like letting go of it and being like, that's it now, I'm done. But then also coming back and being like, that's actually really nice to just go, right, I'm just going back to my normal job now, just going to be sensible and get back to it and not have to think, what, I've not got anything lined up, I've not, so I've managed to keep in, and I have other stuff coming up in December, in fact this month, November and December, that's meant that I haven't actually been away at all. So
do you feel like that's how you're going to work now? Do you reckon it's like a hybrid thing you've sort of designed yourself?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot recently. I said to somebody the other day, I've said to a few people recently, that I don't know if I could go back to before. Not that I'm like, oh, it's great having the security, yada yada. I know that I could probably give it up. and live the way that I did do for a few months. But sustainably, it's not, I don't want to be in that world anymore where, and it's different now because of how everything's been and how everything is changing, that you are constantly just like looking for those really teeny tiny jobs that don't necessarily pay much, but they're great, but they're hard work. And when the older you get, I guess the the harder it is to say, yes, I can put myself through that just for the love of it, to then be like, but actually, do you know what? It'd be great if I just spent 3 weeks at home in bed. It's like, I kind of working that world of me going, oh, who, what version of me is it now? So I think it would be hard to go back to it. Do I know if I will go back to that? I don't know, but it's working out the balance that I'm thinking about, and always conscious of how it evolves for me, whether I stay in this job or whether I do something similar, and marry it up and make it work, because now I can do other creative stuff. Now I can say, yeah, I can work on that Christmas job. If I haven't got a Christmas job performing myself, I know that I can probably assistant produce for somebody, or you'd be a choreographer or a movement director for a couple of weeks. That's opened up that world for me, that's meant that I don't have to go back to how it was. Yeah.
No, that's really good. So, I mean, you've been acting for a very long time, haven't you? If you go right back as far as you can think, when did you get your first paid gig, should we say? Not so much the unpaid.
Yeah.
When was your first paid one?
My first paid role, I will never forget it. It will be the one thing that will stay with me for my entire life. I was 11 and I got cast in Cameron Mackintosh's Oliver, that was touring in 1999.
Oh, awesome.
And Gary Wilmot was Fagin. And I don't think anyone will ever witness a Fagin like he did it. It was great. Really? Gary Wilmot as Fagin and Sonia Swaby as Nancy. And like, I almost didn't really appreciate how good that was as a child, to now, the more I think about it, be like, that's mind blowing. And and it was, they were phenomenal. And I loved every single minute of it. I think we did like 2 months at the Bradford Alhambra. And I got something like 200, in fact, I say this something like, I know exactly what I got, like £275, because I remember getting the check. It was on a check. That's like back in the day. Yeah, so it was, it was tiny amounts, but it was perfect. Yeah.
For that age kid, that's a lot of money.
It was.
Like, so much Lego.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely went towards all of the travel, the petrol and the trains that my poor mother and grandmother and anyone else had to take me to all of the rehearsals and things. But I didn't care. I was like, do you know what? You could pay me nothing and I'd do this every day. I'd do it again. Yeah.
So when did you start learning? When did you start knowing that's what you wanted to do?
This is difficult for me because I meet people that go, I decided, and I don't know, because I come from a really theatrical musical family. Mm-hmm. So we just sing together. I know it sounds like something like the Sound of Music, but that genuinely Christmas time, we would just all sing together, and I just thought that's what everybody did. Oh. And it wasn't until I was now you go to schools and colleges and there's loads of things. It's really affluent for people to do that. Yeah. But when I was going to school and realising that not everybody was doing that, not everybody loved music. Why doesn't everybody love music? Yeah. Why doesn't everybody love drama? What's going on? So I was in dance class at like 4 years old. Oh, wow. I wasn't necessarily great at it, but it was good for like my attention, because I was terrible. I definitely have and had some form of ADHD, because I'd be crazy as a child. So thank goodness for dance classes, because my poor mother, how she would have dealt with my energy, I have no idea.
It got the water off anyway, didn't it?
yeah. And I'd just be like, whoo, gone sleep. But so I was performing really before I even knew that it was a thing. if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I do. It does. I mean, you just became into it. You just were there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Again, I thank every day that I'm lucky that I was born into what I was born into. I'm from a miners town and my family don't have a lot, but for some reason they fell on something when they were younger. My mum's family, they used to tour singing together as kids, and they'd be on Junior Showtime and Calendar and stuff like that. And it's it's out of this world to think that happened to a small, working class family back in the day, and that I just happened to pick that lottery ticket out of the hat and be like, oh yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, that's awesome, isn't it? So do you feel like you've been in and around music and drama like your whole life, basically?
Yeah, pretty much.
Does your mum still sing now?
She's not actively, no. But like Christmas has come, and the wine comes out, and the family comes round, and they go, "Nobody told us how good we were." It's great, but it's great because everybody, even when they've not been singing, it's just like, oh, which harmony are you doing? And then everybody just blends. It's like it's almost. Some of my friends call us the Cause. There's many names.
The Midland Cause.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So, I remember when because I helped you out with some stuff a few years ago, and I remember when I was looking through the stuff, you were also on Don't Tell the Midwife, weren't you?
No.
You weren't?
No, Call the Midwife. No. I'd love to be. Let's plug that, Austin.
You're in then. I'm sure that's... Definitely on it. On it again.
That's definitely not Call the Midwife, though.
What was it then?
The only thing I can think of, is it BBC? It's Doctors. That's the first thing that I did, and that's
was.
Yeah. I had nothing before that, so again, my agent had managed to get me that audition, and I remember the audition. I was supposed to be. I'd been signed up to do some general medical role play in Manchester, and what I used to do is always first thing in the morning. There were long days, and I struggle, like I say, to keep my attention awake. So I'd always be like, right, well, my uncle lives in Manchester. I'll go stay his the night before, and I'll get up early, have a really great night's sleep. So I'm on the bus on the way to the train station, and I get the call from you see the agent come up on your phone. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, great, we've got you an audition for Doctors tomorrow in London. And I was like, okay, and they went, we just need to work out first if we can get cover for your medical role play. So I phoned down. I was like, you're joking.
What do you mean?
Just turned around. I was like, you can work that out, but I'm off. I literally got off the bus, and I went back, and then they eventually said, yeah, great, sorted. But it was so lastminute.com, they sent me the whole script through, so it was a guest lead, and there was so much of the script, and they said, we'll probably pick a couple of scenes, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not the best at learning things, but I'll just do my best. And I got on the train, and somebody had there'd been an accident on the train line, so my train was delayed, and I'm there messaging my agent going, how do I contact the BBC to tell them that I'm going to be late? She's like, you don't contact the BBC. It's not something you do it. It's like, oh, okay. Can somebody do that for me? So I was worried I was going to be late, but I wasn't. Luckily, I'd gone quite early, and there wasn't that much of a problem. But I just went in a bit dishevelled, sat myself down, and they just came in. And even though I was early, they were like, Lucy, are you ready? And I was like, yep, I am. So
in the door.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I will stand by the fact that give someone too much time to think about something, they will talk themselves out of it. And I didn't have any time. I was so worried about everything, the fact that it was last minute, and the fact that, I didn't have much time to do this. I just went in and I just thought, whatever, just go for it. And apparently they loved it. So I tried my hardest to take that with me through every audition, but sometimes it's not great to just turn up dishevelled and look a little bit erratic. So I find it the balance of that. Yeah.
You played the part of running lady very well.
Yep. Yeah.
What was your part in it?
So I was a young mum who had obviously I couldn't afford my child. So the whole story was that I turned to selling myself. And so there's this whole scene in a hotel, and I've left my child, my baby, with the doctor that I really trust. Even though she didn't ask me to leave my child, she's like, okay. And she turns up whilst the guy turns up. So she's in the bathroom. But it turns out that the guy that turns up is actually the father of my child. And he had no idea that he even had a child. So, I mean, it's classic doctors, classic midday television, you know? So it's, I mean, I was thrown at the deep end. I had two, they must have been 6 months old, these babies, maybe not even that. And they were twins. And so, because obviously the schedule, like we filmed for like 14 hours on that first day. So they just like throw it in, get it all done as much as possible. And I'd never, I mean, I was 22 maybe a little bit older, but I'd never really held like a baby. I'd never like, other than people that I knew, but not for long periods of time. And then I was just expected to, one, perform, two, be wearing not the most comfortable outfit ever and conscious of that, and there being 1,000,001 camera operators around me, and then trying not to suffocate somebody's child on my hair and being like, oh. So I watch those scenes back all the time and think, oh my days, yeah. If I did it now, then it'd probably be not that much better, but I'd hope I'd feel better.
Babies, they're all right.
Yeah, it was crazy, yeah.
So, I mean, that's like behind the scenes stuff, isn't it, you're talking there? Because in front of the camera, you were probably fine.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that's what it came across as. But inside, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then, you know, they're switching around the room, doing it from a different angle. It was like a lot of people these days, it's always thrown about whether it's good to be an extra, which, you know, I think it's great to have any experience on set. It doesn't matter whether you're in front of the camera or not, but to understand what's going on, you just cannot teach that. You just cannot teach feeling comfortable in that environment.
No.
That, you know, somebody could tell you, somebody could video it, but until you're there, you don't know. And I do remember feeling a little bit like a deer in headlights, and wished that I'd had something else to prepare me for it, because it was such a big like block of filming that was done in one day, and I had no time to really sit with the director. He had so much to do that I just had to trust that my instincts were great, because it's not like we had loads of time to retake stuff. And so it was behind the scenes is madness, like stuff that went on that day.
Like, hinting at something there. But no, I mean, what the camera sees is completely different to what everyone else sees, isn't it? And that's, I mean, that's the joy of television. That's the magic of it, really. And, it's so, like you say, it's such an experience to see behind and see what goes on, and how they're put together as well. Because a lot of people think that like films, TV, and all that is recorded step by step until you've got the major thing. It's not. It's all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah. You're lucky if you've got something in chronological order, and so you're there going, right, on this day I'm doing these bits, and so you're just kind of learning them, especially if you do, it's your first job, you're just like, I'm just learning the lines, and then to start to think about how that pieces together with the people that then I'm doing those next bits on the other day. It's brain numbing, like, and really difficult to kind of just switch on to that. You know, people love, especially in theatre, the time that you've got to rev up to something, that time that you've got off backstage before you walk on and do your thing, because you know you've lived that first half of, you know, the first act. You've lived that, and so you've heard the music. You don't get that.
You're part of the story in that, aren't you?
Yeah. It's not there when you're doing filming. It's very live, it's very real, it's very just now, and you just have to be able to go, right, okay, this is this thing now, and just not worry about how it all connects, just trusting that you know that it does.
Well, just trusting someone whose job it is to put it together nicely.
Oh my gosh, they will. I mean, I remember somebody saying something like, beginning and end of every take, like leave the time at the beginning and end of a take so that whoever's editing it has got something to edit. Because if you do your best thing in that first like split second and they've had to cut it out, you'd be absolutely mortified. And yeah, so just be kind to yourself and like leave that breath before it and after it, so that, yeah, because they're the little things that nobody really tells you and you don't think about, and the editor doesn't have the time to tell you, and is probably too nice to say it because they're like, well, I'll just do the hard work. And it's like, well, if we can all work together, great, amazing.
Yeah. Being told just to take a breath before and after is a great bit of advice.
Yeah, just that little pause. You know, you've got your time, you've got your moment. They can cut it away.
Yeah.
You know, I think people worry about just getting straight in, and you do. You get caught up in it. But it's never going to look awkward because somebody's going to edit it. Somebody's going to cut that out.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then that's on them.
That's it. It's up to them.
Yeah, on you.
I've talked to extras before who have spent all day on a shoot and they've actually been cut out the whole thing anyway. And oh my goodness, that must be so disappointing.
Yeah, you can imagine that. I've known people, because I haven't done a lot. I've not experienced that. I've had certain little bits cut out, but I've never done anything where I've been, you know, a small part in a really big like show. But I've had some people that have had that done, and it's like, you don't know. Like, I remember thinking that I was watching it at the same time as everybody else was watching it. You know, you want to see, like in rehearsals for shows, you get your previews. You're all kind of watching and feeling it and understanding it before anyone gets to see it, so somebody can go, yeah, that looks great. You don't have that, and it became really surreal to me that night before when I was like going, oh, I should probably post about this and like, you know, talk about it, because I want more work and I want people to be watching it. And so throw it on, you know, everything on social media. And it felt really awkward to do that. Like, it felt really awkward to do that back in 2012. To be like, yo, look at me, I'm Dr.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's the thing to do. But I was suddenly like, I don't want to do that, because what if it's really bad? What if I hate it? And I can't do anything about it. So I had to kind of live with that world of, well, it's now or never, and even if it's terrible, at least somebody sees it. You know, it can't be that bad. So yeah, that's really hard pill to swallow, that you don't get, you know, unless you're Brad Pitt, you don't get to see the cut before everybody else does.
No, that's true. And there's not many people that are Brad Pitt, so no, it doesn't happen a lot.
No.
Now, talking about singing as well, because you do a lot of singing as well, don't you? So you're also a Disney princess, aren't you?
I mean, I wouldn't say I currently am, but people do still request it.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's cute.
I mean, I've obviously made such an impression that, people go out of the way to say, we want you to do it, which is lovely. It is really lovely. But it's really hard to do with a full-time job. I thought it was hard in the first place, but the mentality of thinking that that's what I'm going to do on the weekend, put that wig on, put that whole outfit on, and become that person. Because I don't like to do things by halves. Like, it will be to perfection. I'm not saying that I look the most amazing at it or that I am the most amazing, but I hate to think that I'm anything less than all of what I can do.
You want to give everything.
I remember at one point buying the contact lenses that had blue on them, because one child said to me, "You've got brown eyes." And I was mortified. I was like, I've just ruined this for her. I've ruined the whole thing. No, she's not wrong. So I started buying contact lenses and doing it with like eyes were like, really, it's because I didn't get the right size. Spending the whole time like this.
Because
it's like, I need to. One child, nobody else noticed, but it's like that one child noticed that I had brown eyes, and she's watched this show, she's watched this film so many times, she knows everything about her. And so I was like, I could have the best accent, the greatest wig, but I've got brown eyes. So it's an interesting thing, and I won't get rid of the outfit. I've thought about it, but I won't, because I'm like, well, you never know. She might come out again.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a 6-year-old and she absolutely loves Frozen, and Anna and Elsa are like her favourite people in the world.
Yeah.
Hopefully behind us. But,
I mean,
so
I
I do know it. I
yeah,
mean, it is a lot of work, but it does bring so much joy to the kids. So, you know,
it's such a good show because of the fact that it is two female leads, but the journey that they're on. And I remember, like, everybody wanted Elsa, and the first time I did Elsa, because my sister used to do the parties years ago, and she got the outfits and everything, and the wigs and everything, and I remember putting on that one first and just being like, it's a no. Just looked at myself, and I'm not joking, I looked like David Bowie. It was just not right. Like, I was like, there's so many people out there that can do this and can look right, but it's like, I look a little bit scary. So I think I did it once or twice, and I was like, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
I will only do Anna, because as soon as I put Anna on, even my stepmom, she's like, it's just you. It just suits you. It's just, and I went, I know. I just feel like it just fits. And it's more because of her character. Like, I really think I connect with her character in the story. I used to think that I was probably, as usual, you'd go towards the Elsas, you'd go to what I'm trying to think of other ones, Cinderellas and Belle, and I would do, but it would always be the part of them that was Anna. And I feel like Anna and Elsa are the two halves of every Disney princess. So there's the two personalities. So which personality you probably connect with? And I was like, it's Anna every time, the annoying one, the one that's like, and she's not necessarily looking for love, but she kind of is. And then it's like, and so I really liked that I could just do anything with her. Like, people really took to me just being a bit crazy, even during lockdown, and I do loads of random little TikToks and things, and a lot of parents, adults, were asking me to do more. So I was like, it's relatable. She's got something about her.
Oh, that's lovely. And I mean, like you say, you don't know if you're ever going to do it again, but you've got the option if you ever did.
Yes.
And I mean, do you find you post a lot on social media still, even though you're not doing that anymore, or was that more of a work thing? Or do you still feel, because a lot of people use social media just for work, and a lot of people use it just for personal, and it's always a bit of a transition when it suddenly goes the other way.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily posting anything for work at the minute, but I will do when I do little things. But yeah, I feel like my social media currently is like my place. It's my place that I'll kind of update. I don't tend to do many like posts as much. It's more like stories to document things that are just kind of happening as and when, because I'll be like, oh, I haven't got time to kind of write all about it. I'll just post it. This is what's happening now. And I always find them quite interesting to look back at the end of the day. And I like that I can put them in a little, what is it called? A little memory on my Instagram. I really like that. So I don't tend to put much on the grid, so to speak. So when something goes on there, it's for a specific reason. But during the pandemic, I used social media a lot for Anna stuff. But I don't put anything on there. So yeah, when I get a random message saying you were at my friend's so and so's party last year, can you do ours? And I'm like, I'm not saying it is easy to find people that do it, but it is. There's so many people that do it now. So I think I always take, as much as it's sometimes hard to like be like, oh no, I'm busy. But I really appreciate that people come to me and be like, I'd love you to do it. Have you got a different day that you can do it? I really like that. It's lovely. It's nice.
So going back to your stories, because I know I've been dead jealous looking at them on there when you're going off around the world. Where was your last holiday?
So my last holiday, so when I've taken annual leave at work and actually been on holiday, I was in this country in Pickering, near Pickering, with my friends. So they'd booked this little cottage. One of my friends got 2 dogs, and so they were just going there, and they had a hot tub, and they were like, do you want to come join us? And I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I really, really do want to. And it was great. Yeah. And we went, I can't even remember what woods it was. We went to this like woods somewhere near there, and it's massive, so big that there's loads of different points where people can park, and you keep driving. And we went to like one of the furthest ones. And as we were walking during the day, we did not see anybody else. And this was in September. Yeah. It was really weird. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. It's like, I could do this. If I could do this every day, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that helped? I mean, when was that roughly?
That was, I think, the first week in September. So like maybe 7th or 8th of September. Okay. Yeah.
Do you think that helped your, I don't know, I guess mental health a bit, just sort of calmed you down a bit? Because I mean, there's still a lot of people that still from the pandemic are still up here. They're still like stressed out and panicking. And it's nice when you can do that and you can go out and you can just relax. And because you're in control of it, and you have to realize that. And when she asked me about those days, and I was like, oh yeah, well, I can just bring my laptop and I can work. And I was like, why am I doing that? Yeah.
Why would I do that? And it's because I've got so used to using my annual leave to do other work that it was just what I automatically thought I would do. And then I was like, no. And I'm so glad, because it's got all a bit crazy again now, that if I hadn't have done that, I'd probably feel worse than I already do. So yeah, I think it's important that we can get busy and we can have lots of things, but you are always in control of that. You are always the one that says yes or no, the one that changes your mind, the one that you
I think it's important to remember as well that you can unplug, you can switch off, and it will just be there for you when you get back. It's not like it's going to disappear. People will still want you, they'll still want to talk to you, and that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's a hard thing actually to think in this industry. I know that this is the first time that I've ever really taken time out to do another thing, because I've always been scared that I'll get forgotten, like just 100%. And I remember thinking that the people that I'd worked with during the pandemic, that I'd finally built up like a connection and a network of people that I knew when I was ready to come back, that they'd be there waiting for me. And that's weird, because that's the first time in, say, how long have I been doing this? Say like 20 years of being in this industry, that I knew that I could do that. And that's quite scary to think that you're constantly worrying about even going, like I never did cruise ships. I think about it now, but I wouldn't do a cruise ship, because 6 months, if you're writing to a casting director and they're thinking about you for something, for TV, and you're then gone for 6 months, you've been forgotten in 1 month. You have. And it's nothing to do with how, that they're a bad person or that you're not good enough. It's just the way that it is. And finding peace with that is really hard. And I did find it hard. And it wasn't until I knew that I had the security of, even though I don't, they could easily be like, we've not got anything for you. But I knew that I suddenly had ways of working with these people in some form, in some way, that once I came back, I would have somewhere to come back to.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, the fact you've even said it's taking you 20 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's not doing that yet, start doing it now. Start building your community. So so you're not just, exactly. So you're not just an actor that is coming back at one point. You are Lucy, who is coming back to see us again.
Yes, yeah, and that's I definitely feel like that now, and I feel like that's reflected in the fact that these people, whilst I am still doing this job, they're finding ways to work with me. Like they're modifying what they do and how they do it so that I can work with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive privilege. And I would have never thought that anyone would not want to do that, would even think to do that for me because there's somebody else that can just do it.
It's quite an accolade to the quality of your work, though, isn't it? That they'll do that.
Yeah. And I just think of the person that you are. Like, I always, whenever I've got friends or anything in the industry that, you know, worry about such and such, and I'll always go, you're not a bad person. Yes, that might not be an ideal situation, but when you step back and look at yourself, you're not a bad person. So at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out because of whatever, then that's their loss or whatever. Everything is based on that. And I never thought that my personality or the person, even though I would always try and be the best person, that was as important as how good I was or how appropriate I was for the job. And it turns out it's more important to these people that I am who I am than whatever that role is. That role will be made to whatever I offer. And, you know, one day I hope that will happen for everything that I do in work, and that's why people get stuff written for them, because but you know, I think it takes time for that to happen. And you know, I'm grateful. I am so grateful that happened during the pandemic and at the other side of it, because at the top end of it wasn't the case. I mean, I'd kind of built some connections up and some network, and I felt a little bit lost, like suddenly everything was gone. And all the hard work that I'd put in, that now I was at the bottom of the pile, because the people that were at the top of the pile that were getting the work are now also not working. So they're now at the bottom of the pile. So if they're at the bottom of the pile, I am 6 feet under. And that's the that's what it felt like. So it's a little bit like, well, there's not really anything I can do. Nothing's happening at the minute, and it eventually became a weight off my shoulders. Those first few months have been like, well, I've been doing this slog. Like I mean, I joked about it, but I was like, I'd been training for the pandemic for years. I'd had a lot of time out of work.
Yeah.
So when all these people were stressing that their shows had cancelled and such, and I was like, yeah, I really feel for you, but I didn't have the anxiety that they did, because I was like, I've been here. I've been here many times on my own. I'm now here with a collective. So actually, this feels better than when I was in it by myself, you know, going, well, that person has now got job after job after job. Where's that? You know, they say that it's like when you get that first job, it kind of rolls on. And for some people, it just doesn't. And so you kind of then go, oh, next job. And there's a lot of time in between that you might not be doing what you want to do. And so I was like, well, I've done this. Yeah, I'm good. I'm all right. Yeah.
It's the thing, isn't it? With the expressive arts, performing arts and all that, it's very much a heartfelt job. So if you don't get picked for something, it's not just one of those, oh, well, I didn't pass the interview, go to another one. You feel it, don't you? You get that, oh my God, what was wrong? Why am I not good enough?
Oh my God, yeah. I was only saying to my friend yesterday, she was talking about a romantic situation, and she was like, but you know, he lives here and I live here, and even though it's the first, like maybe the third date, so they'd been on and off a few years, been in different situations, and she's going, well, you know, what about, well, there's this job here, maybe I could go do that. And she was chatting and such, and she said, why do I do that? Why do I just jump there? And I said, because that's who we are. I said, we're every person that has been into an audition for an advert, every single one of those people has spent that money before they walk in the door. They just have. Yeah. In their head, they've done it because you do. You can't not do that, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
If you're not going to go, this is mine, I want it, and I want to do this with it, why are you even going? And it's the same with relationships. I think we're too hard on ourselves to go, well, I shouldn't do that. But then, well, why are you even bothering? Because that just somebody else. It's the same with friendships. I would never, if I didn't imagine that I was going to be friends with somebody for a long, long time, you know, then I'd be like, well, I wouldn't put in that effort. I'd be like, okay, well, we're just, that's it.
Yeah, if it works, it works.
Yeah, there's not enough space for it to just be maybe, you know, which is, we all do. We say, oh yeah, it's all right if I get it. But inside, of course we've got it, we want it, we've sold it to ourselves, because that's who we are. We're just made up like that.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to be realistic. I mean, like in my job, I said I wouldn't talk finance on this, but in my job, I do get people that come along and they say, like, I would like to go for the mortgage, and I'm going to put the deposit down when I get paid it. And I'm like, okay, when are you getting paid it? They said, well, the audition tape went in yesterday, so in a couple of months I'll have it. And I just think, well, hang on, let's stop.
Yeah, yeah. But that's it. You can do that. You can spend that. But and that was one of the good things about having the call with you, is it suddenly made me realize, okay, but what can I do now? Because I can't just imagine that next job's going to jump up at me, and that a mortgage advisor or somebody that's going to lend me the money is even going to be bothered about all the stuff that I've just done. And so, even though I haven't made a great deal of money in the past couple of years and been able to save a lot of it, I know that I have done something, and I'm in a better position than I was. And
that's it, building.
And I've been able to do stuff that I wasn't able to do before, because you do just kind of think, oh, well, I'll do it when.
Yeah.
I'll go to, my friend's wedding when. And it's like, but then it comes and you go, well, I can't. And it's really difficult. It's really hard. So yeah, sensible is the way.
It's the way. Savings. Okay, let's go a bit more upbeat. If you could have a coffee or a tea with anyone I'm sorry, I forgot where you were. It's Leeds, isn't it? So yeah, tea. A big cup of tea with anyone in the world, any historical figure, anyone. Who would it be?
Oh, that's really hard. But the first person that comes to mind is Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I admire her for a lot of reasons. But I used to watch some of her films when I was younger, but I didn't really think anything of it. But she's in quite a few of my favourites.
Yeah.
But I know that she started like this production company called, I think it's Sunshine Studios. And like she aims to try and get a lot more like female people in the room, and writers, and the stories that she helps produce is all kind of like female led, but it's not just like, oh, this, that and the other. There's a few kind of rom-coms in there, but some of them are really, really good, gritty dramas. And I just have so much respect for her for doing that and still being the person that she is, like, and the artist that she is. I don't know have you seen The Morning Show?
I haven't, but I have seen her in Walk the Line, and she is amazing in that, isn't she?
I mean,
what a voice.
Yes. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's phenomenal as a performer and underrated. If you watch The Morning Show, that she kind of, I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but I feel like she was like the whatever they called the jump board for now. And she and Jennifer Aniston are just fantastic. And you kind of forget that you're watching Reese Witherspoon in it, like, and it just made me just kind of want to be her and want to, and I read a book, and she's so very homely, and, she's got a book club, and it's like she's almost not a real person. And I just really, not like, but not in a, that she's like hiding something way. She's really open about stuff, and I just think she's like, this is who I am. I make good work, but I have this, like, I think feel like she's quite religious. And, I think for some people that could be held against you, but for her, it's just a faith. It's something that's kind of kept her going. And do you know what? She's creates brilliant work, and she's got a family, and she's always really respectful about everything, but just feels like a normal person, but not quite real. Does that make sense?
No, I do. Yeah. I do.
I don't know what I'd ask her, but I would sit with her for a long time.
Would you just sit there in silence, squeaking?
Probably, yeah. Well, a long time ago, I'd have said Orlando Bloom. I mean, a lot of times have changed.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that one.
No, I don't either.
Well, I'll see what I can do about Reese. I'll get in touch with her for you.
Please, thank you. Amazing.
What is a common myth about the arts that you can think of? Can you think of a myth that you just think that's rubbish?
I don't know. Like, you'd have to kind of say something to me, and I'd be like, yeah, no.
Okay. Getting acting jobs is easy. You just need the right agent.
I mean, the fact that is that even a thing that people say, because
off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. Yeah, no, that's obviously not true.
Okay.
I know some people that have got the greatest of agents, and it just doesn't work out.
No. Do you think agents are essential to the job?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say that whilst I don't have one and I'm not in the world.
Yeah.
It depends what you want. I think they're essential to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like massively. Like, I wouldn't have got my first job, but I don't think they're essential to everything all the time.
You think you can go it alone as well?
Yeah, because you could easily be with one that's just not right for the sake of going, well, they're essential.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's like saying, you know, my partner's essential to my life, even though he does absolutely nothing for me, and we're just, you know. But that's the same thing. It's a relationship, and nobody should stay in anything that doesn't work just because that's what the world says you should do. But yeah, it helps. It helps a lot, and I feel for anyone that hasn't got anything or any connections to go out to the world to suddenly try and find an agent. That's really hard, and you do need one then, because
you can't just walk into a theatre and say, hey, I can act.
No, I mean, you can put in the work, but it's gonna be hard. And so yeah, it's easier having somebody that's got those connections. But you know, it's a game of luck.
Yeah,
the whole industry is a game of luck.
It is. It is. But then, I mean, you say like you're taking a bit of a break from it now, but what would you say that you've learnt? What's the biggest lesson you've learnt by being in that industry? So I know obviously it's not like you just wake up and go to work, go to work, is it? It's very much work when you can and work bloody hard when you can, and then stop, calm down, look for new jobs. But what do you feel like when you've woken up and you've stopped it? What do you think it's taught you in life?
I don't know, to kind of think outside the box and appreciate things. Like, I know that I'll always go back to it. Like, I know that if it wasn't for that, as much as this is a brilliant job and it's great people, and I'm really lucky to have everything that I have, if I didn't have that I was going back to, I would struggle to get up every day and go to my job. I just would. Yes, there'd be some days that'd be easier than others, but I would, because that's the thing that keeps me going. It's the part of me. It's part of who I am. And I know during the first maybe few months of the first lockdown, I started doing this course, this coaching course about new pathways, thinking about different ways to retrain your brain, really. Because one of the things that I admitted was that once it had all kind of hit me, that I didn't know who I was without my job. And that's been through a lot of my life, even in relationships and things like that. I was like, I don't know who I am without this. So when I'm not doing this, I was just coasting. So any job that I had outside of the arts, I wasn't even living. I was just getting up. I was just throwing on clothes. Would I brush my hair? Maybe. It was a little bit like that. And I was like, I know that now, because of everything that had happened, and I didn't know what our industry was going to be like, that I need to find a way to be somebody outside of that, because I don't want to spend any more days doing that. And it made such a difference, because this job that I've got now is so different. I'll make sure that I get up and I don't wear any boring clothes anymore. People say to me, "Oh, you always look really nice." I mean, by the end of the day, I probably don't, but I wear my nice clothes. I make a point of saying, I'm wearing my best clothes, and my best clothes get worn out, that then when I want to wear something for nice, I go, I need to buy a new dress. But it makes such a difference to me doing, and that's what the industry taught me, is that it is fabulous, it is great, but that's not who I am. I am that, if that makes sense. That it is the way that it is. It is that to me because I am part of it. I'm connected to it.
Yeah.
So I give as much to the industry and the creative things that I do.
Yeah.
As much as that gives me back. So yeah, that's what I've learned from kind of moving away, but also knowing that it's there for me whenever I want to come back to it.
That's really good. I mean, the thing is, like you say, you've done it for years. It is time to take a break if you feel that that's the time. I mean, as soon as you start working and pushing yourself through, dragging yourself out of bed, you're not enjoying it anymore. You're not getting, I mean, singing, dancing, acting, they're all stuff that comes from the heart. And if you're not enjoying it anymore, you're just destroying it for yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just seems silly not to take a break when all the signs are there, aren't they?
Yeah.
So do it.
Well, I did. I have, and here I am. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm so lucky and grateful that I didn't know when we chatted a year ago what this year would look like, and I had a full-on panic and thought I need it to be something different. This isn't working. I need to just go back. I need to go back to my world. But what I would have done, I don't know. And what's been quite nice is that this year, not having made that drastic decision has meant that I've done different things. And it's meant that there's other things that have opened up for me, something that's opened up for me over Christmas that if I hadn't have been doing this job, would I have been available for that? And it's not the biggest and the bestest of things ever. I mean, I think it's a pretty great opportunity. And like I said, the fact that people can work around me is amazing. And that's taught me that this year. So every year, whatever I think, is going to happen the year before, I'm not sure. It brings surprises. And
yeah, it means you can cherry pick the jobs you want as well now without being desperate to get on everything.
Yeah.
So quality
Definitely.
over quantity.
Yes.
Lucy, if you could say, quick fire round, if you could say 3 words to anyone who wants to get in the industry from start, what would they be?
3 words.
Yeah.
Like in one thing. Just do it.
Just do it. There you go. That'll do. That's a good 3 words. Brilliant.
Don't think about it. Just do it.
So are you allowed to talk about the upcoming Christmas thing, or is that hush-hush at the moment?
Yes, I am. It is. So I don't know if you know, but it's been the City of Culture in Leeds this year. So Leeds 2023. And there is to be a closing show because there was an opening show at Headingley Stadium in January. And it was a big mass attended thing. And I unfortunately couldn't go. I was supposed to be going, but then work meant that I couldn't do it. And I was gutted, but it is what it is. But yes, so there's been some new studios that have been built in Leeds, Versa Studios. And so what's going to happen is this show is going to be over, I think, from like Boxing Day up to New Year's Eve. So there's going to be 2 or 3 shows a day. And it's like an immersive production. So people wear headphones and I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but it's called The Gifting. And it's like, it's an ending and a closing of something. I should be, a bit. I mean, hopefully not.
Where can people get tickets for it? Where can they find you?
They can find the tickets online. I think it should be Leeds 2023. If you go on to Instagram, there'll be a post about The Gifting, and I'm pretty sure the tickets are on sale already.
Okay.
But not the casting and things haven't been announced yet, so I don't know what people will know about who's in it. But I'm definitely involved in that. And I'm excited about it.
That's good. I mean, I can see by your smile, it's got massive all of a sudden. So, yeah.
I'm going to be tired by the end of it because then it's like back to work 2 days later.
So, back to your day job. But no, that's good. That's brilliant. Yeah. Well, Lucy, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you the best of luck with that production and everything else as well. Like every time I talk to you, you're like, "Oh, this is amazingly changed," and it's great. I actually love it because I love talking to you, and you're like, "Everything's changed. We need to talk for an hour."
We need to do. I know we probably do need to talk like properly. I need to get my affairs in order.
Yeah.
Again.
But no, It really has been a pleasure. But I'm going to pop off now. But thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Speak to you again very soon.
All right.
See you later.
Thanks. See you later. Bye.
If you would like to guest on the podcast, or if you know someone who would, please get in touch via the website www.mortgagesforactors.com, or look for us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok.